and
Yeah.
that was pretty. Is there any topic that you wouldn't talk about?
No.
No. So you talk about anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's so there's this whole thing about people call themselves life coaches, career coaches. There's all kinds of coaches, right? Um, the person is the same. I don't know how somebody can leave their personal person at home and bring the work person to work,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, so it's all intertwined. It's all eventually you're the
Yeah.
same person.
Yeah.
You've got stresses at home, you'll bring them to work.
Yeah.
You'll be, people who work for you, you might just be abrupt with them. You might take out your frustrations on them. I remember at work, if I ever came into work and I wasn't looking happy and smiling, my team would be someone will walk in and ask me what's
क्या
wrong,
हो गया?
because they're watching your body language. They're watching how you're responding, how you're reacting, what are you upset about. um, so it's very difficult to make that sort of split into, okay, now I'm at work, let me leave the home person behind.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I.
so we had I had a very very senior colleague, sorry, and I tell this to a lot of people I coach because I saw this in so I had a very very senior colleague, was a board member in my company, and was brilliant at his work, but couldn't just manage relationships with people. All he wanted was get the job done. This is what we have to do. And so we were doing this internal meeting, and his counterpart in another sort of area of different business was the backslapping, joking, fun kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he was going on with his guys, and they were laughing loudly and drinking beers and doing all this
Yeah.
stuff. And our sort of vertical business head had his arms folded like this. He had a scowl on his face, which very clearly said, "Don't come anywhere near me."
Right.
So the rest of us said, "Well, stay away. There's no point having this, don't even try." 3 years later, he was back in India for another business trip, and 2 years, 3 years, something like that. And I see this transformation in him. It was like he was connecting with people and he was reaching out and talking. And so, post the events and the 3-4 days of meetings, we were doing, like, he was leaving that night, and then we were doing these drinks before he left. And I asked him what changed.
Yeah.
And he said, well, the management and the rest of the board saw this gap in my personality. And I really, as a human being, I don't like people. I don't like interacting with people.
Being honest, man.
He wouldn't have said this to me 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm very sure about that,
Yeah.
right? He'd have probably chewed my head off if I wouldn't have asked him the question.
Got it. He would be
First
like too
place,
unapproachable
right?
to you, Nasa.
No way. And so they got him a coach. And he says, because of the way I was, not just at work, even at home, my marriage was falling apart and things were becoming really difficult. And when they got him a coach, so he gave me the example of what used to happen in his, when he left, if he had a bad day at work. So the coach asked him, how are you going to solve this? Because what do you want to do about it if you want to do something? And so he worked out a plan, and he said, okay, if I have a bad day at work, my secretary is going to call my wife and let her know that I've had a bad day at work.
Yeah.
So when I get home, she's not going to talk to me. I'll go into my den, I'll throw stuff around, I'll yell, scream, whatever, get all my frustration out, and then I'll come out and I'll sit with her and say, okay, how was your day? If she's had a bad day at home or in general, she would call my secretary and say, I've had a terrible day. So when I get home, I will sit down with her and say, hey, honey, tell me what happened. How was your day? Oh, it was terrible. The dog did this and whatever. He says that allowed me to rebuild that So it's all about understanding your moods and your emotions
Hmm.
and everything else. And he said, I wouldn't have figured it out on my own without my conversations with the coach. And
Hmm.
then, so that's how I've changed with you guys. That's how I'm talking to you. That's
Hmm.
how I'm having this conversation. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to the airport. I'm going to sit on the plane. It's a 10-hour flight.
Right.
I don't want to talk to the stewardess. I will turn on that TV. I don't care what's playing because I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
5 days of being in India, meeting clients, doing this, doing that, all this touchy feeling thing I have to get out of my system.
Right.
I don't want the food. I don't want to be disturbed. I do not want another human being talking to me. At the end of 10 hours,
Hmm.
I would have got it out of my system. I'm back to normal.
Right. That's amazing. I think, yeah, I think that's super, like, in terms of your analogy of separating, like, there's no separation between the person and the professional. I think this is a perfect one
Yeah.
because as you were talking, I was like, there is no way that like, you could have had, you could stop this individual from having a personal realization. If you would have like, if you're in that coaching session and you're having a conversation with this individual, and then suddenly he says, well, I need to figure out a way I can coordinate venting with my wife because currently, like, she's frustrated and
Yeah.
I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
If you don't take that on, then that transformation would probably not happen. And then that's
Correct.
good.
And if his boss had told him or somebody else had told him, hey, you know what? We want you to behave better with people. We want you to, I'm going to listen in one ear and take it out through the other because it's not, I haven't understood why it's important yet.